Welcome to Project Command. I'm Captain Peter Eunice, and I'll be your host. On today's episode, I'm joined by someone who needs very little introduction in the fire service, Jason Patton. He's an entrepreneur, a firefighter, and one of the most recognizable faces in our profession. Through Fire Department Chronicles, Jason has created a space where humor, authenticity, and the realities of the job meet. His work has connected firefighters, sparked important conversations, and, importantly, given the public a look into our world. Beyond the comedy, he's helped grow Fire Department Coffee into a major national brand that supports firefighters and fire families across the country. Jason, thanks for doing this.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to start off by just introducing you to the audience here. Not that you need an introduction, but could you just tell us a little bit about what's your story and how'd you get started in all this?
Yeah, so Jason Patton, I've been a firefighter for 17 years now. I've been in EMS for almost 20 years. With EMS, I got lucky, man. I was a mechanic at the time. A friend of mine told me about EMT school. I was like, let me go check this out. Loved it immediately. And that whole conversation, a lot of times I've reflected back on that where throughout our lives, it's literally one conversation or one little hint by a friend that you
Totally.
would never think 2 seconds about, and it truly changed the trajectory of my life. So. Went to EMT school, loved it. Started medic school 4 days after I graduated EMT school, which I don't suggest anyone ever doing that. Not good. And then fire school pretty soon after that, about a year and a half after that, and just I got hired at the first department that I applied for in the middle of 2008. So there was
Ooh,
a
tough
complete
time.
hiring freeze. Not how so bad. I was applied to a different department, a place called City of Orlando, which anyone that knows about that area, it's an incredible department. But got hired with Riviera first, loved it, so cool. They threatened my job every single year. That was always
That's how
fun.
you know you're on the right track.
Well, it was because there's so many the hiring freeze and there was no money. They couldn't come up with budgets, and every year they would come up to us like we'd be trying to get more money during our negotiations. They'd be like, "How about no more money and we don't fire you?" We're like, okay, thank you."
Yeah, I guess. I guess.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then just about 6 years in, 7 years into being a firefighter, or maybe a little bit longer than that, did my first video with Fire Department Chronicles, and it's been a whirlwind since then.
Yeah, man. Well, I've got only 1,000 questions I want to ask you, but I want to I think that actually kind of moves us nicely into what I wanted to talk about with Fire Department Chronicles. So, this podcast, I like to focus a lot on the project management side of the fire department, but more specifically, I'm always fascinated by people that create things where there wasn't something before, or I guess another way to think about it is there's no blueprint, you're venturing out into the unknown. And that's a lot of the projects that fire departments run. And I know that that's something that you probably can speak to better than most. So I was hoping you could talk about the idea to start Fire Department Chronicles and maybe some of the emotions you had. I mean, were you nervous? How does it feel? And because firefighters, we tend to judge a little bit. I mean, were you nervous going out there on a limb, making videos that your peers are going to watch? And just talk us
Y-
through that if you don't mind.
Yeah, firefighters are the most supportive and unsupportive people you'll ever meet. They're
Well said. Well said.
yeah, they're absolutely incredible in the moments, and honestly, it's social media firefighters that are the worst. Like I don't I and I think it's part of a cultural thing where we always try to find the ways that we can improve situations, but we tend to lean towards the negative side, which is just you see somebody practicing doing forcible entry that they've never done forcible entry in their life. They're literally just learning how to put a Halligan in a door properly. And all of the comments are,
Look at
where's your
this
PPE?
idiot.
Look at this moron. Where's your glass? Like, come on, dude. Jesus, give him a second, dude. Um, but we I've always said so. With regards to the growth that I've had with Fire Department Chronicles, it's been absolutely amazing. Firefighter Fenton was actually, and I work with him a lot now with Fire Department Coffee. He was actually one of the first. He started developing videos probably about 7 years before, or 6 years before I started making videos. Firefighter Fenton's a guy with a big mustache, big red mustache, and he was making music videos. He did something called oh God, what was it? Say anything but Station Two. I can't remember the damn name of it right now, but which was it was an amazing video. Or My Knee Hurts Now. The whole thing was at 2 o'clock in the morning. People would call because my knee hurts now,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's so relatable. So, but we were sitting around the station hanging out, and we decided to make a video, and we called it National Geographic's Fire Department Edition. And anyone who's like a real OG, they know him. I had a horrendous Australian accent. It was the worst Australian accent on the face of the planet. In fact, one of the people that got hired about 8 years ago came up to me the other day. They're like, "I want you to know, when I got hired, I thought you had an Australian accent." And I was so mad at you that you didn't have an actual Australian. I was like, oh, okay. Um, but we just started making the videos, had a really good time with it, and it started taking off. It was a really cool experience to see people be able to relate, because the whole thing was we were hunting for different positions in the fire service. One of them was the battalion chief. We said the bigger their belly is, the more gnarly they are. When their mustache flares up, that means they're about to attack. We hunted for the driver engineer. You had to coax them out of their driver charger with a bowl of ice cream. It just, like, we had such a good time with it, and people, they genuinely enjoyed it. And when you get on social media, the first couple of years they sucked. Like, I mean, it was fun, like a lot of good experience. Videos that I look back at now, I'm like, the production value should have been better at the time, but I only had an iPhone. But yeah, there was a lot of pushback at the time, and that is just part of the game in social media. Firefighters, we say things to each other's faces, and we know that there's a line. Like, you don't go past that line, and you stay at that line. We can go back and forth. I say that two firefighters can literally be in each other's faces, screaming at the top of their lungs, saying they're going to murder each other, say the most horrendous thing about each other's moms, and then 2 seconds later, we're like, "So, what do you want to do for dinner? We gonna do steaks?" Like,
So true. So true.
yeah, it's amazing. So, but yes, the social media piece of that it is difficult. Social media is a very powerful, incredible thing that can have an amazing impact, and is now a necessity in firefighting and recruitment and retainment of firefighters and EMS personnel. But the first portion of that journey, it's a definite learning curve.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. Doing projects, if you have like a big project with high stakes, it's one of those things where you get started and you're really worried, hey, look, we got to cancel training for this initiative, or we got to push this thing out. I don't know how it's going to go. And one of the things that I've kind of thought about is, when you're doing those, you're stepping out into the unknown. It's kind of one of those things where it's like you're a train conductor shoveling coal into the train engine.
Yeah.
Put your head down, don't look out the window, just keep shoveling the coal. And then, some time goes by and you lift your head up and you look out of the window and you're like, wow, we've gone really far. I can't believe we went this far. But it's just like you got to keep your head down and just keep shoveling the coal. I wonder if you can relate to that.
Yeah, and that's it. There's a lot of expectations in general when it comes to outcomes of people's lives. We see that with younger generations now, just because there's so much information out there, and they're able to see the success of other
Hmm.
people. So they expect that same success the second they step out of medic school. Is a great example for me. You see people get out of medic school and they genuinely don't feel good about themselves. They're like, why am I not a great medic yet? Well,
Mhm.
you don't have experience. Like, you are comparing yourself to a guy who has 10 years on the job. He's seen a ton of stuff, or girls that have seen a ton of stuff. And that all comes with experience. And like you said, shoveling coal into the engine and making sure that you learn the things and you're able to hone the skills, so on and so forth. And then with the social media piece, you post your first video, and there's an unfortunate thing that happens in social media, especially on TikTok. They will purposely push your video out to more people
Hmm.
because they want you to get addicted to that feeling. that dopamine drop that you get from holy crap, this video got 10,000 views. That's amazing. And then you want to keep posting and posting and posting and posting. And then if you're good at posting or the videos are good, they relate to people, then you're going to get more views. But that's a common thing in a lot of social media platforms or algorithms. But the point is whenever you're doing anything, whether it's being a firefighter, whether you're doing stuff on social media, you want to be a mechanic, whatever it is, the passion cannot be making money. It can never be that. The passion of being a firefighter, you want to make money to support your family, but you need to get into it for other reasons because the money will not come up front and the money will never be enough, period. People don't know this, but I didn't make any money for the first 5 to 6 years of doing social media videos. I mean,
Wow.
no money, like nothing. And if I made anything, it was maybe $100 or something like that on like a video that I posted, but I made almost no money. Um, and fire department coffee, I worked for sweat equity for the first 5 years. So I worked for fire department coffee for free for 5 years, getting equity within the company, but there was no dollars in my pocket. So I did it for the love. I love making videos. It's fun. It's exciting. It brings people together. People come up to me. They're like, dude, I love your stuff. I'm like, thanks, man. We were like, does that get annoying? I'm like, no, it's amazing.
I'll bet.
People, it could have been so much worse. People could have been like, you suck. Every part of you sucks. Like, I'm sorry. So it's, the expectations, keep the expectations realistic, and then you'll be so impressed at how far you've come, the lessons that you've learned, which I've learned a lot. And when you come out the other side of it, or at least farther down the journey, you'll be much more appreciative.
Yeah, there's that line in that country music song. I can't remember any of the song, or even I'll get the line wrong, but basically, don't count your chips while you're still at the table.
Yeah,
It's like you agonize over the views or whatever, and it's like, look, that's not the intent here. The intent is to put out good content or
yeah.
whatever it is. And I wonder, did you have that passion the whole way through? Did you start passionate and then just continue to be that way, or did you get started and you found your passion along the way?
It started off as just fun, and it still is fun. It started off as just I liked making videos that people were able to relate to. In fact, it had a much the reason I started getting involved with the mental health piece of it, in my own struggles, which I've talked about multiple times, making sure I seek therapy and finding a good place for or finding a time for me to get back to a good place where I was actually content with my life when I was waking up. But I was getting like guys were reaching out to me when I was still active on Snapchat, and they were like, "Dude," and I'll never forget this because I had multiple people prior to this, like, love the videos, man. It makes we get the cruise together, we all laugh about it. It's cool, it's fun. I'm like, that's awesome. This is what this is about. But I had a guy reach out. He's like, "Dude, last night we went on one of the worst calls of our entire station's career, and it was something along the lines of two vehicles, three babies or three children involved, all of them dead. One of the parents dead, like just horrendous stuff that like career-ending calls." He said we got back to the station and obviously we were ripped, man, and we went through CISM and we followed all that, but we were all kind of trying to figure out how to get to a better place. And he said, one of the guys happened to pop on one of your videos. He said, we laughed. We laughed. It was a funny video. But it kind of broke the ice of the moment.
Yeah.
And that's what all of this is about, man. If your intentions are just to bring joy and happiness to other people, then whatever comes at the outcome of it or on the backside of this will always be icing on the cake. But if the basis is there, so yeah, man, that's it's. I found the passion. I've struggled. Let me tell you, we show up to work, right? And as long as we don't kill anybody, we had a great day. We did a good job, right? And the expectations are always there for us to be on point at all times, but we always want to make sure we're the best at our jobs. But as long as we're showing up, giving our best, making sure we're trained properly, then we're doing a good job. Social media isn't like that. It's all based off of your last view. I don't care if you did as best as you could. Your last video sucked. You suck. You've fallen off. Like Jesus Christ. Like it's a ruthless world.
Yeah, yeah, the internet not known for its grace and compassion.
No.
It's so I really appreciate hearing the stuff you're saying about mental health. I actually I don't even remember where, but I was talking about this recently. And when I got hired, which is around the same time as you, I got hired in 2011. I was a forest firefighter, volunteer in Montana before that, and but I got hired as a professional firefighter in 2011. And when I got hired, I went to a station that was in sort of lower economic end of the spectrum, and we ran, we were known. This station goes to a lot of violent calls, a lot of shootings, stabbings, overdoses, that kind of thing. But I remember the people that were dying were typically like 80 years old when I got hired.
Hmm.
And the last station I was at, I was a lieutenant. Before I got promoted, as my last assignment was an engine company lieutenant, busy area, and we would go to two, three overdoses a day sometimes. And these were 30-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 15-year-olds. And so
Yeah.
I just think like the mental, and that's just one example. There's so many layers to the mental health stuff that we've got. I don't think COVID helped, but
Mm.
I just think there's so many factors, and one of them is the opioid crisis has just dropped the age of people that are dying from like 90 to, and it's tragic when anyone dies. It's tragic when a
Yeah.
90-year-old dies, but it's different when it's a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old mom of two or whatever.
You can justify a 90-year-old.
Yeah.
That's a lot of times for me what it comes down to is I can justify a 90-year-old that died. At least in my head, I can this is tragic. The family is going to suffer. And I feel horrible for that, but I can at least say in my head, and most people, especially those family members, can say they lived a good life.
Yeah.
Like they were able to. But a 15-year-old kid who made a choice, and it is a choice, but I've learned a couple things over my life, or over the last few years of my life. And a lot of those has been empathy is so difficult to obtain, but when you have it, like it's really important, man, because one thing I learned about opioids was that if a lot of people that get addicted to opioids don't intentionally do it. They go to the doctor, or they go to the dentist, they get a script for Percocets. You finish that script. I really like the way that felt. I now have a physical
Yeah.
addiction to this, and it's a whole different journey. So, but yeah, you're right, man. It's the 15-year-old kid. I've said multiple times in my life, especially when I talk about mental health, it's not death that is the worst thing we experience. It's human suffering. It's
Yeah.
the mom crying over the kid, or the kid crying over the mom, or whatever it is. Those are the things that stick with us.
Yeah. Honestly, I have nothing to add to that. That was perfectly said. Well, yeah, I mean, the last thing I'll say on that is, I mean, from the bottom of my heart, I sincerely mean this. God bless you for what you're doing to try to help spread some awareness for mental health. I think the idea of the stigma is getting better. I really do, but there's obviously a lot of work to do. And in our department, it hits pretty close to home. We've had a few suicides recently in the
Mm.
last several years. Which is just pain beyond measure. And so, anyways, I don't want to go off on too deep down that rabbit hole, but I just want to say thank you for what you're doing on behalf of anyone listening. Thank you for your commitment to that. It's like honestly such an important thing.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah, and so I want to switch gears now and just talk a little bit about fire department coffee. I think this is something, at least in my department, I think it's like this everywhere. Every firefighter has a business, a landscaping
Oh
business,
yeah,
junk removal business, a chimney cleaning business, a cake
yeah.
making business. So, it's not like, you're the first person in the fire service to have a side gig, but fire department coffee has been I mean, really successful. And
Hmm.
and it's a national brand. I mean, I think we had some at Station 10 when I left. So what was that like? I mean, how do you go from being a guy riding around on a fire truck, riding backwards, breaking down doors, whatever, now you're,
Uh,
working to vertically integrate your company and all this other stuff. How does that happen? And follow-up question, if you have someone that's trying to get something done, whether they want to start a business or whether they're trying to set up a new program or they have a vision for the fire department, what's the advice you give to somebody in that situation? And, sorry, I'm throwing 500 questions at you, but what's
no, you're good, man.
about fire department coffee and what advice do you have for people trying to do hard things?
So fire department coffee dude, it's been a journey, man. It's been a crap show. There's moments where we had to take pay cuts because we weren't meeting the revenue needs that we were having at the time. Um, it's incredible, dude. I'll tell you, anyone that wants to start a business should. Find a business that you're passionate about.
Hmm.
Find a business that you're willing to grow. You want to make some money, but you're willing to grow, but something that you genuinely love.
Hmm.
Like I love doing this because you are not going to become rich right off the rip, man. It's just not the way it works unless you create some a software company that you blow up and you're able to sell, almost immediately, or you created a new type of AI or something like that. But it's an incredible rewarding thing, and I'll tell you why I think any firefighter should start their own business. It will make you love your job as a firefighter 1,000 times more, bro. Because guess what? We show up, man. We show up, we get paid no matter what. Like, this is it. We negotiate for more money, all the fun stuff. But we show up, we know exactly what we're doing. Yes, the job sucks sometimes, but you're not having to balance payroll, figure out projections, cash flow. Crap. We're expanding really, really fast, and that's what happened to us. Fire Department Coffee has been incredible. We just got into Walmart Canada. We're in about
Wow.
10,000 retail stores across the United States. We sell internationally through firedepartmentcoffee.com, but we were originally only online, and then we got into retail, which was a massive learning curve, like one of the worst learning curves I've ever been a part of. But it's been an incredible experience. I think that growing something like a coffee business is exciting. But with Fire Department Chronicles, the second I started getting like decently big or starting getting any kind of like moderate following. I said I am going to stay away from race, religion, and politics. I will never dabble in those things. I want to hit as many people as possible right in the humor bone, have them enjoy it, family friendly, no cursing, nothing like that. I want to make sure that people can watch this. I've had 4-year-old kids come up and go, I love your videos. And then 90-year-old firefighters, the same thing, right? So people can come together and watch stuff like that. We do the same thing with coffee. So
Hmm.
no race, religion, or politics. Like we want to give everybody coffee. We don't care how much money you make, where you live, what you do for a living. If you like coffee, then we're going to be the brand for you. So we stuck with the pillars in our mission, is what we like to say. So anyone starting a business, that's what you want to do. Sit down. I'm going to start a pressure cleaning business, and I know that sounds weird. Well, it's a pressure cleaning business. Why do I need to know the pillars that my company is based off of? And the mission that I have. Well, it's important because you're going to always fall back on those things, especially in social media. If you have a business, you need a social media account. And you don't have to be ridiculous. People are like, I don't know how to edit videos. You have a phone and you
Yeah.
just, hey, today we're going to Jim's house and we're gonna do a before and after. And like, dude, that is ASMR stuff. People love that. Like, yeah, show me that dirty driveway. Oh, show me the clean one.
Love
Oh
it.
yeah. Like they
Love
love
it.
it, bro. It's
Can't get enough of it.
amazing. Yeah. So like that kind of stuff, you just stick with that. I stay out of these subjects. I don't talk about. I talk about pressure cleaning and the things that I work with every day. You might pick up a sponsorship because you always talk about it, that kind of stuff. So find a passion or find a business that you're passionate about, stick with it, figure out how much money you want to make and how quickly you want to grow it by investing back into the business itself. And then find your mission and your pillars. And when you find your mission and your pillars, stick with those things no matter how hard you see, like, oh man, I want to talk about COVID, or I want to talk about the recent elections. Like, if that's not what's in your business, man, just stay out of it. Other people talk about that. You stay down the middle and grow what you should be growing.
Yeah, that's good advice. Something that kind of popped into my head, I was thinking about, and I wonder if you can relate to this. I was thinking, it's one of those deals where, like, so, you go to a vehicle versus a pedestrian, which is typically a pretty rough call, and everything's wrong, broken ribs, arms turned the wrong way, 100 different things. And you don't know from the moment you get on scene, you don't know every single thing you're going to do, how you're going to get them into the medic, how you're going to, get who you're going to take with you, how you're going to get there. But you know the first three things to do. Hey, you get an airway, you get a set of vitals, and then you
Yeah.
look for a line. And so I wonder, in business, is it kind of like that too, where you don't know, you start your fire department coffee or Chronicles, and you don't know, hey, look, the next 3 years is going to look like this, and these are the growth, these are the growth force
Yeah.
multipliers or whatever. But you just know, hey, look, these are the next three things I'm going to focus on. Is that have you found that to be the case with you?
Yeah, I mean that's going to be the best thing. We love to get in front of our feet, and if you're in front of your own stride and you don't know, because here's the thing. Fire Department Coffee was founded originally by Luke Schneider. He's a Navy veteran and he's now a retired firefighter. Luke Schneider had zero business experience,
Hmm.
none. Like he didn't go to business school, but he knew he liked coffee and he knew he needed a roaster and he knew he needed somehow to package it and ship it. And that's how it started. And then as we were expanding, because we started off in a 300 square foot storefront, and we outgrew that within the first year of me getting involved. Fire Department Coffee was founded 2016. I got involved in 2017, so pretty much right after that. Then we outgrew that. Then we moved to a 3,000 square foot building. We outgrew that within a year as well. And then we had to get a 33,000 square foot building. So, but we didn't understand a lot of those things. Doing proper projections for, because at the time we were an e-commerce business. We were only online. We only needed as much as we needed to produce. We only needed as many bags, as much green product, so on and so forth. So we only knew that amount, and that's 100% correct. Figure out the first three things. I know if I'm going to start a pressure cleaning business, I need to register my business. I need to get the insurance along with that as well. I need a pressure washer, maybe some kind of trailer, and then I need clients. That's it. So like you have the three things to start your business, and then you grow from there. And you're going to learn some really big lessons. You're gonna learn how to properly bid jobs because you're gonna get burned on one of them, and that's kind of the way it goes. But if you start slow, you do it properly, learn the lessons while it's maybe just you, then it's gonna be good.
Well, and we'll get into this in a little bit. I don't want to jump ahead, but one of the things I just want to throw in here while I'm thinking about it is, a lot of those things you were saying, like you don't know how to do this, you don't know how to do that. Man, I've just found like if you have ChatGPT on your phone, there's really not any excuse. I mean, you can just open it. Hey, I want to start a podcast. What do I need to do? And it'll tell you.
Yeah.
I need to get a microphone. What kind of mic do I need to get? Or I mean, hey, I'm editing this file and I can't make it, be quiet here and loud here. How do I do it? Just take a screenshot. I mean, it's the excuses are it's harder to make good excuses now because it's I mean if you have ChatGPT you can ask that thing I mean it'll tell you how to do anything but we're
Yeah.
going to into it. We're I for those of you listening we are going to ask Jason Patton what he's using AI for. We will get to that. But before we do that, there's something, and this is, I'll be totally honest with you, and we spoke a little bit on the phone last week. This is the thing I'm really eager to talk to you about. And so kind of a little intro to it. I firmly believe that culture is a huge, huge part of whether it's fire department administration, broadly speaking, or project management. And the reason I think that is because anytime that we are asking our workforce to do something different, whether it's log your training hours in target solutions as opposed to this system, or this is how we log medication usage on the ambulance, whatever, if you're asking them to do something new, there's an element of cultural change there.
Hmm.
And I think so often that gets missed. I think that very frequently we'll just do a project, we'll roll out a new software, put out a new tool, whatever, and we'll just completely neglect the culture side of it. And so with that in mind, I think that your vantage point on the culture of the fire service is so unique because in addition to just being obviously a keen observer of the culture, because you have to make these videos about it, you're looking at things through a totally different prism. How do I find things that firefighters can relate to, that they'll see a video, like 10 things a paramedic will say, they'll see
Hmm.
it, they'll go, yeah, wow, that's right. I actually said that on my last call. So you're seeing things through that angle, and then you're repackaging it in these videos to give to a larger audience. So with all that being said, what's your take on the fire service culture right now? Where is it at and where are we going?
I think we're in a good place in general. I think one of the it depends. It depends on where you're at. And I think that's mildly a loaded question. The reason I say that is firefighters will never be satisfied. That is that is the bane
True.
of our existence. Like it just doesn't
So
matter.
true.
Everyone says the same quote, firefighters hate two things, the way things are and change. Um, and it's difficult because uh we want change. We want change in the ways that we want change. And sometimes we're not willing to do the change that will eventually lead to the things that we're looking for. The cultural piece of this, it is. we always hear the you got to buy in, and I do agree. You have to buy into what we do for a living, and people will not always be happy all the time. The mental health shift has, I believe, been really good. It's difficult for some people, but embracing mental health in general, like encouraging talking about feelings, talking about the things that we're seeing, talking about Jesus, dude, I have ran 18 calls after midnight every single shift for the last, month and a half. I'm hurting, bro. Like hormonally, I'm destroyed because I also have another job. And people being like, "You gotta suck it up and just do it." Like, no, asshole. That's not the way human bodies work. Like, eventually, we're gonna be hurting, man. So, the all of this, I think, comes down to one thing that firefighters lack: patience. We expect people to understand something the second we tell them,
Yeah.
whether that's on calls, whether that's probies, whether that's brand new medics, whatever it is. We expect to show somebody a skill and them to understand it immediately, which is not the way any of us have ever worked ever. That's why training is so important and practicing things so they become a second memory, or I didn't say that right, whatever the second something that you know all the time. There we
Yeah, I
go.
gotcha.
But
Muscle memory.
uh, yeah,
I was
but
drawing a blank
that
too.
yeah, yeah. But that is something I believe we lack in general when it comes to being a firefighter in that culture. And administration can definitely be one of the worst in that, where they can say, "Hey, you're no longer doing this." Like we were clocking in or everyone was walking around with their shirts untucked. Now you have to tuck it in every single day, no matter what. It's like, wait, hold on. We were allowed to, when we were checking out the trucks, we were allowed to have it. No, not anymore. Sorry. All the time. Like, we will write you up immediately. Like, Jesus, dude. You got to let things happen. Like, slowly, people will start to get it. We'll start to correct each other, that kind of thing. I always make the joke. We didn't have to clock in. We just showed up on shift, and then on our call sheets or on our, time sheets, they knew that we were there, and we didn't have to clock in. Well, we had to start doing that.
Hmm.
It took me 6 months to remember to clock in, man, because I didn't do it for the first 12 years of my career. Like, so it was a big shift for me, and that's a minor thing, but in general, I think the culture is good, but the culture will never be fully satisfied.
Hmm.
That's just not that's just not who we are. It's people that think that firefighters will be satisfied every single day. They're wrong, because that's just not who we are. And then the last thing I'd say about that, firefighting is changing, and paramedicine is changing at a faster rate than it ever has.
Yeah.
We're learning new protocols, new medications, new things. We're needing to do new things every single day. Cities that are adopting EMS more and more and more, having to understand other sides of first response than they have in the past. So it's a lot. It's a lot to absorb. We can only do so much. So just being patient would probably be the best thing.
Hmm. Yeah. Wow. Very insightful. What do you think? What's the new generation like in the fire service now? We always, I mean, when I got on, every generation, oh, this new generation, they don't do shit, whatever. What's your take on this new generation?
Uh, I saw an article one time, or an image, and I'm not sure if it was actually true or not. It was on the internet, so who knows? But it was supposedly, it's two things I saw. An article about how when radios were first installed in cars, they were hugely fought against because they were like, no way, people are going to be distracted listening to music riding down the road. And then I saw the same very similar, or a very similar thing about when newspapers where people were walking around with the newspaper, and people were so upset because everyone was going to be distracted because the new generation is just going to be worried about reading. Um, the newest generation of firefighters, you have to keep them entertained. Like, that's just the way it is. Uh, it's not going to be the days of like everyone sitting around the firehouse table with their phones in their pockets and paying attention to each other, unless you create what you just said, the culture of that. But you got to make it inviting. People don't want to sit around and talk shit about everybody all day long and how much every other department sucks. Like, they want to, like, hey man, how was your day? It was good. Like, we need to learn how to be insightful and actually care about other people and ask questions that will create a conversation that will they will feel genuinely wanting to be involved with.
Mm.
You know, they want to hear your stories. They want to hear your stories, but they don't want to hear every story that you've ever ran. Like that's yes, we can learn from the guys and the girls of the past, but how do we engage the new generation of that? Social media will be a part of that. How do you do that? Okay, we want to recruitment is at its lowest that it's ever been in the United States because we need to get people to want to come into the fire service. Use the new generation to do that. Hey, you know how to use a phone well? Yeah, cool. Hey, we're gonna go outside. We're gonna show why it's cool to work for Riviera Beach Fire Rescue. Let's show them the new stations, the training that we do, the training grounds. We have, you know, an entire house. My department has an entire house, a literal house that the walls you can change them, built inside of an overhang, so we can train there all day, every day. Forcible entry stuff. Get people wanting to come into the service. Hey, you just got on. You're 21 years old. What would make you want to come to this place?
Yep.
Like, ask them that kind of stuff. So, I think things are shifting the way they've always shifted. And anyone that says the newest generation is the worst generation, I'm going to let you in on a little piece of insight here. You were the newest generation at one point in time, and you were the worst generation ever. So that's just the way it is, man. Like, once again, no patience. We don't like change. It is what it is.
Yeah, I'm really optimistic about this new generation. I think they want there. It's different. There's a lot. It's very very technology focused, which I think has
Yeah.
been it's been like that for a few generations now. But very technology focused. Wants to know why. The because I said so doesn't work as well.
Yep.
They put a lot more value on their own personal time. They don't want to work overtime the way the last generation did. You're gonna that they don't want to. They'd rather have their free time and have less money and just adjust their life accordingly. And I'm very optimistic. They have a better sense of personal boundaries. Like, hey, I won't do that on overtime. Like that's not what I signed up for. But yeah, I'm really optimistic. I think, I've also noticed that you've got some really sharp people in this new generation, really sharp workers. You also have your bums, of course, like any generation, but I'm very optimistic. I'm very, very optimistic about this generation that's coming into the workforce right now.
Yeah, and I agree with you on the work-life balance is big to them, and that's fine. Like, I don't have a problem with that, man. Like, I understand it, and it's not a bad thing. Now, look, I get mandatoried on shift. I'm never happy about it, but it
Never.
happens, right? Yeah, no one's ever happy about it, but it happens. And as long as I didn't have a flight that day, like, it is what it is. If I can get someone to come in and cover for me, I'll probably do that because I always have stuff I have to do when I'm off shift. But it's if they don't need the money and they want to go home and spend time with their families, let's encourage that. That's a great idea,
Yeah.
bro. Like, go do that. That's amazing. And like you said, the previous generations, even my generation, we had access to the internet, but it wasn't like it is now. Like,
Mhm.
some of these kids, if they're passionate about it, they're gung ho, dude, they're hungry and they've already watched 900 YouTube videos coming into it. And they're like, okay, I think I know how to catch a hydrant. Show me how you catch a hydrant. Oh yes, I'm familiar with this. I've seen these extrication tools. I've seen this type of extrication done. Oh yeah, I've seen dash lifts. That looks really cool. Can we do that? That should be encouraged. And it's really funny, man, because you'll see firefighters that don't like that. They're like, "Whoa, whoa, sit back, bro, relax." Like, dude, you're an asshole. This guy
Yeah.
wants to learn. Like, shovel information down his throat. Like, I'll take that all day long. So I agree, man. I think like the only thing that I think about this newer generation is that they are very used to instant gratification,
Yeah.
and it's not their fault. And I'm even used to that. And you're how old are you?
37.
So we're around enough internet
Yeah.
growing up that like it like I want to know this. Cool, I know it. It's there right now, as you just said, ChatGPT.
Oh yeah.
So it's just one of those things where people are used to instant gratification. So teaching them that things may take a little bit longer to hone in skills, that might be the only downside, but there will always be the outliers.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not going to be the lieutenant after your second year. You got to work at these things. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's That's very well said. I had a guest on the last episode we did. I talked to Chief Eric Linenberger. He's the deputy chief of ops for Westminster, Colorado, and he was saying something that I just really, really thought was on the nose, which is that he wanted to pass along some lessons, write about like, whatever lithium ion batteries or whatever, and he thought about writing, all these different, memos or whatever to send out to the workforce, and he was just like, man, that's not how these guys get information anymore. They don't want to sit down and read a 3 or 4 page department brief or newsletter or whatever. I think, and I'll misquote him, but basically said all the go hards I know are listening to podcasts. That's where they're getting it from. They wanna, listen to it while they're working out or on their drive to work or whatever. And so, I think it's just about meeting them where they are, figuring out like how is this new generation consuming information or getting training and how do we, because it doesn't have to be all, oh, well, if that's what they want, then we'll give them everything they want. They have to adapt to the workplace as well. But I think it's about, it's a give and a take there.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's where I believe video educations come in. Visual learning is an amazing thing. It really is. It keeps you entertained. It keeps your interest peaked the entire time. So if he's trying to teach me about lithium ion fires or how to attack them properly or whether we actually want to be piercing these and injecting fluids that are going to stop that thermal runaway, if he does that, like pointing at a Tesla, or he just, he has a fun, he's out in the training grounds and he's talking about forcible entry or whatever it is. There's a guy, I can't think of his name. I want to say it's Firehouse Tactics, but I'm not sure if that's it or not. This guy's out of New York, like he's got the New York all the way, like the way he talks. And I met him a couple times and he's such a nice dude. And I love the way he teaches. It's all visual. He shows you the ways that he likes it. And then he shows you the ways that you could do it, but it's probably not optimal. I love that type of the learning. I mean, obviously, you have to put hands on to make sure that you get the physical skills out of it, but that is cool. I don't want to sit down and read a 14-page thing. I just don't, and I will if I have to, but I'd rather not. I'd rather watch and be like, okay, I see. Oh, look the way he's positioning that. Perfect. Okay, cool. So there are definitely different ways.
Yeah. Well, let's move into something that I'm personally very excited to talk about. I try to talk about it on, as often as I can because I think it's such a big deal. And we spoke about this earlier, but that's AI. And,
Mhm.
we could talk about how you use it in the fire service, and I'm certainly really interested to hear that, but also just your personal life and or your businesses. Where do you see AI fitting in to, or before that, what are you using it for right now? And then where do you see it going?
So funny enough, I actually don't use AI at all right now.
Really?
Yeah, in the things that I'm currently doing, I haven't had a need for it. I will say this: there was at one point in time I was trying to write a script for like a fun dad joke,
Hmm.
and Word has a little AI tool in there. I was like, let's try this.
Give it a shot.
And I gave it a shot. I wrote it out. I said, 30-second long video, 2 characters, dad joke, something else. And it wrote it out. I was like, all right. And like I think one of them I was like, make this unhinged, like just in and it did. And it was good enough. The premise was good, but there was something about a human touch, like an understanding of where a punchline needs to be. That's where I think AI will fall short. I don't know where AI is going to go. And I believe it has its purpose, and I may get like roasted for this, but I believe it has its purpose in like helping humans fix a mistake. So, for example, a photographer goes out, takes a bunch of pictures of flowers, and they like got all these flowers and they needed this specific one, but when they took the picture, a beam of light hit the flower and like completely blurred out half of the flower, and he can't figure out how to fix that, or it's not possible. And that's where AI comes in. Hey, can you render this out, regenerate this side of the flower, and then they're good. That kind of stuff I get. Like I that's where I think it has its place. And then helping in like maybe research. I'm a new fire chief, or I just took over ops, and I need to put this budget together for this. ChatGPT, can you pull me the last 12 budgets for this city and what the projections are for the taxes next year? Perfect, right? That's really, really good as long as they can dissect that information and put it into something. So I think it does have its purpose there. Where the downfall is going to be is it's going to cost people jobs, especially some of the maybe minor jobs. And the other thing that I don't like is I believe it takes away a lot of the skills required for writing. I need to write a 5-page essay on, utilizing spec ops. I don't know why I said spec ops. That's not what I would ever write it. But I need to write it on forcible entry in this place, or extrication, or why amiodarone is the best drug for antidysrhythmias and stuff like that. And you can chat GPT that, but what it does is it takes away the understanding of how to research things appropriately, how to formulate a sentence properly. You and I both know uh, people, white shirts, or people that have got into chiefs positions or administration or even captains that can't write an email. They don't know how to form an email properly. And that's fine when you're talking interpersonal stuff. But when you are talking to people outside of your fire department, you need to be able to formulate an email appropriately. And if that is all being handled by ChatGPT, you never learn that skill. So that's kind of where it's good, but I believe it is going to lessen people's ability to truly hone in skills that they'll need for the rest of their life.
Yeah. Yeah. That's that's a really thoughtful answer. Kind of where I fall on this is if I could snap my fingers and make AI go away and never come back, I would do it. I really would.
Mm,
I think that there's obviously the maximalist concern, which is, I've seen Terminator or is that where we're going? I mean, the chances, it's a not zero possibility, not zero. But anyway, the more realistic things, yeah, you're right. It's going to take people's jobs. It's going to be extremely disruptive for the economy and, and on and on and on, second and third order effects. But it's kind of one of those things where it's here, and I could snap my fingers all I want. It's not going away, and so for that reason, I've decided, hey, look, I might as well leverage it and try to, use it as a force multiplier in the fire service because I do think it can help a lot. I think that, you brought up a great point. A lot of times you get people that get promoted not because they're an English major, but because they are, they're a good truck operator.
yeah.
Now they're a lieutenant, and then they're a great, command officer. So now they're a captain, and on and on. But they don't have the, data analytics skills, or maybe they don't know how to write up, this lengthy
Hmm.
research APA style,
Hmm.
white paper or whatever. And so I think it can bridge a lot of those gaps, which is, we kind of have that sort of antiquated fire service business model where, you start out in the field and you work your way up, and now you're managing a 10, 20, $30 million budget or 50, whatever. There's gaps that are going to be there. So I think it can be really valuable for that. But yeah, I think, especially because the fire service is so personal and so human centric that you have to put those guardrails in place, and you have to consider, what, like you're saying, what skills it's a trade-off. What skills do you lose in order to harness this power? So yeah, I think that's a really thoughtful answer, Jason.
And I would say, just to step back on one thing, because you said, and I agree with you, a captain that gets promoted because he's incredible on a truck, or his skill, like when this dude shows up on calls, people are like, yes, he's here, good.
Man.
I want that guy as a captain.
Oh yeah.
I don't care if you can write an email or not. Like, it doesn't matter. But for a lot of people, it's like, well, I don't want to learn to. Why do I have to? I'm a firefighter. Like, yes, you are, but you can also learn how to write an email. Like, that's okay. Because if you and I were having this conversation live on Facebook, the comments right now would be like, oh, you'd rather me write an email than learn how to fight fire. Like, Jesus, you can do both.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
both
yeah.
things can exist.
Chill
So,
out, relax.
yeah. But I agree with you, man. It's like you said, it's here. It's never going away, period. And that's fine as long as we utilize it properly and it doesn't destroy industries in the process.
Mhm.
That's where, like, I'll tell you right now, I think AI commercials should be banned.
Oh yeah.
That should never be allowed because Dude, Jesus. Like you're talking full commercials. People that, and I understand from a business perspective saving money. I do fully understand that. But that's crazy, man. You just wiped out an industry. And for someone to like, and the other thing I think about this is AI is populating those faces off of other things. So there is a very high chance at some point in time you and I are going to be on somebody's commercial, and it's there's nothing we can do about it because it's fully allowed, but they created something that kind of looked like us, and it's only going to get better. So it's we're in a very interesting curve right now.
Well, and the last thing I want to say about that is that there's gonna come a point too where it's gonna start to really affect or impact people's tether to reality because you're gonna see a video and it'll be, Jason Patton saying, hey, use this product or whatever. And it's like, it's gonna look
Yes.
so real that you're gonna look at it and you go, oh, okay, I guess Jason Patton is now working for this company. And it's gonna begin to, and it already has, it's going to begin to fray, I think, people are going to see videos and it'll be a politician
Hmm.
or an actor or whatever saying something, and you're just going to have no idea if it's real or not. And
Yep.
CGI of the past, you could look at it and go, that's obviously fake, but not for much longer.
No, and I've seen videos where I'm like, holy crap, that's happening. And I'm like, oh my
An
God, this is
asteroid coming through.
AI. Yeah. Yeah, you wait, man.
Well, yeah. So I got one more question I want to ask you, Jason, and you've been so gracious with your time, so generous. But I do want to ask you one more question. And so I think that people see you as, in many ways, a representation of sort of the everyman firefighter. If you could speak to, not, of course, for your department or mine, but if you could speak to the administrative chiefs and you could give them one message on behalf of the everyman out in the firehouse, what would you want to say to them?
The greatest thing you can ever do as an officer, as a chief, as a father, whatever, is sit down and talk to someone and look them in the eyes. And the reason I say that is we say you're disconnected from reality or disconnected from what it used to be like to be on these boxes or be on the engine or whatever. And it's always our perspective, our thoughts versus what we perceive to be reality. And if you're a chief of the people, if you really are, because I've now had two chiefs in a row that were both chiefs of the people. When they hear a problem, they come down and they go, "What's the issue?" Well, we don't like when this, and this is happening. Okay, understand. Here's why I'm doing this. Then they fully explain it all out. We're like, oh, okay, I get it. It's a long play because of this, and this, and this. Ah, okay, you're smart. You're a good chief. Or they just can't explain it, and we're like, okay, so you are a piece of shit. All right, cool, perfect. So if you're a chief, if you are, and I think it should be the chief, and obviously, if you work for a department that has 150 stations, it's going to be very difficult. But if you're a chief and you really want your guys and girls to buy in, you have to have the willingness to sit down, look them in the eyes, and write down what they're saying. My chief goes around somewhere between once a quarter and once every 6 months, and he just sits down, man, and he listens to it. And then obviously, if someone's being disrespectful, he'll stop them. But he sits down and, dude, pen, big old notebook, and
Mhm.
just writes and listens to everything. And then he talks through it and tells us why he's doing stuff. And when he explains it, it takes away the reality that we're picturing. And it makes us not only closer to him, closer to his goal, but it also allows him to understand where we're coming from. And it may change some of his thoughts or at least some of the ways approaching stuff. And at the end of the day, when people feel heard, they're going to be much happier.
Amen. Jason Patton, thank you for doing this.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. This has been awesome.
Thanks for listening to Project Command. And remember, if you have a question or a topic you'd like us to cover, send us an email at projectcommandpodcast@gmail.com. That's projectcommandpodcast@gmail.com. We'll do our best to answer it either directly or on air in a future episode. I'm Captain Peter Eunice, and this has been Project Command.